Welcome to my channel. Family should be where the storm stops at the door. But what if that very place is the source of all pain and injustice? Will you choose silence or stand up? Here I tell you the hidden truths of favoritism and the scars that daughters are forced to endure. But don't leave just yet, because this is only the beginning. Stay tuned to see how I'll make them regret it, and exactly how high a price they'll pay for their cruelty. Stay with me until the very end of this story to see justice served. If you believe the truth must be revealed, hit like and subscribe to stand with me right now.
My name is Tessa Allen. I'm 32 years old, and I work as a cybersecurity engineer in Massachusetts. For the past 10 years, I gave my family everything, $300,000 to be exact. I paid for their house, their cars, their medical bills, their property taxes. I worked 60-hour weeks so they could live comfortably. This is the story of how they repaid me. The main characters you need to know: Vernon Allen, my 62-year-old father, a retired mechanical engineer who always made it clear I was never quite good enough; Lucetta Allen, my 60-year-old mother, who perfected the art of loving my brother while tolerating me; Damon Allen, my 29-year-old brother, the golden boy who could do no wrong, even when he did everything wrong; and Rhea Allen, Damon's 28-year-old wife, who came from money but lost it all when she married beneath her station. If you're listening from somewhere far away, drop your city in the comments so I can see how far this has traveled. And please, stay with me until the end. It was a Saturday evening in March when I stood in the kitchen of the house I'd been paying for, holding a 3-layer chocolate cake I'd spent 4 hours making. The house smelled like vanilla and melted butter. I'd written "Happy 62nd, Dad. Love, Tessa," in yellow icing across the top, my hand cramping from trying to make the letters perfect. 62 candles flickered on top of the cake, casting dancing shadows across the granite countertops. Countertops I'd paid for with last year's bonus. I walked into the dining room with a smile, ready to surprise my father. The room was empty. Laughter echoed from the living room. I followed the sound and found my entire family gathered around the 75-inch TV, the one I'd bought them for Christmas, watching a video on the screen. On that screen, Rhea was opening a gift box. Her hands trembled with theatrical excitement as she pulled out a Hermes Birkin bag. "Oh my God, Mom!" Rhea squealed in the video, her voice saccharine sweet. "You shouldn't have spent this much. This is like $12,000. In the video, my mother beamed.
Delivery.
"You deserve the best, sweetheart. You're carrying our 4th grandchild." My father, sitting in the leather recliner I'd bought him for his birthday last year, clapped Damon on the shoulder. "That's my boy. 4 grandkids. The Allen bloodline is thriving." I stood in the doorway, 62 lit candles melting wax onto my hands, and nobody looked at me. Ahem. I cleared my throat. My mother glanced over, irritation crossing her face. "Tessa, what are you doing? We're watching Damon's video." "I made Dad a birthday cake. It's his birthday today." My father waved his hand dismissively, eyes still glued to the screen. "Just put it down somewhere. I don't like chocolate anyway. Don't you remember? I like vanilla." I knew he was lying. Just last week, he'd praised the neighbor's chocolate cake, but I said nothing. Damon, my younger brother, lounged on the sofa with Rhea nestled against him, her 7-month pregnant belly prominent. He looked up at me with those puppy dog eyes that had gotten him out of trouble his entire life. "Hey, Tessa, could you grab me a Coke from the fridge? I'm exhausted." He was 29 years old, not 9, but I said, "Sure." 20 minutes later, I was in the kitchen reaching for the Coke when I noticed a paper on the counter. An invoice from BMW dealership. My heart stopped. Amount: $42,000. Vehicle: 24 BMW X5. Phytonic blue, metallic buyer, Damon Allen. Payment source: Allen Family Emergency Fund. Wells Fargo account. That emergency fund was supposed to be sacred. I'd contributed $1,000 every single month for 10 years. $120,000 of my own money, set aside for my parents' medical emergencies as they aged. My parents were co-owners of that account. They could withdraw without my permission, and they'd just taken $42,000 to buy my brother a luxury car. I picked up the invoice with shaking hands and walked to the backyard where my father stood at the gas grill, the expensive one I'd bought him for Father's Day, flipping T-bone steaks. "Dad," my voice cracked. "Did you withdraw $42,000 from the emergency fund?" He didn't look up from the steaks. "Yeah. Damon needed a new car. The old Camry kept breaking down. You know Ria's pregnant. They need something safe for the kids." "But that money was for your medical emergencies." "This was an emergency." His voice was cold. "My son needed a car. That's an emergency." My mother appeared with a plate of garlic bread. "Tessa, don't be selfish. You have a good job making $95,000 a year. Damon's been out of work and has 4 children. He needs help." "But Mom, I saved that money for 10 years, and now it's being used for something more important." She cut me off. "Family helps family. You don't have children, so you wouldn't understand." Damon walked out holding the Coke I'd forgotten to bring him. "Tessa, are you upset? I'm sorry if this bothers you, but I really needed a new car. The Camry's transmission was shot. I have to drive Ria to her doctor appointments." His voice was so sweet, so innocent. My father nodded approvingly. "Exactly right. Tessa, you should be happy you could help your brother. That's what sisters do." I bit my lip and turned back inside. As I reached the kitchen door, I heard my father say quietly to my mother, "We're lucky Tessa doesn't ask too many questions. She's always been naive." My mother's laugh tinkled through the evening air. "I know, she's so easy to manage." That night, I lay in my childhood bedroom, a cramped 10 by 10 foot space with faded pink walls from when I was 12. The single bed creaked every time I moved. Meanwhile, Damon and Ria occupied the master suite with its 25 square meters and private bathroom.
My name is
Their
Renata
3
Martinez,
kids
and
had
this is
the
the story
other
of how
2
I learned that
bedrooms.
sometimes the people who gave you life are the
I
same
opened my
ones who
laptop
try
and
to
logged
erase
into
it.
Wells Fargo. Allen Family Emergency Fund balance, $78,342. It had been $120,000. In 3 months, they'd drained nearly $42,000. I clicked through the transaction history. March 1st, withdrawal of $42,000. BMW X. 5 January 15th, withdrawal of $8,000. Medical expenses, no hospital bills on file. December 20 to IS, withdrawal of $12,000. Home repair. Nothing was repaired. $62,000 gone in 3 months. I scrolled to my email. A message from Chase Bank waited. Subject: urgent. Co-signer payment due. Damon Allen Auto Loan. Dear Tessa Allen, this is a reminder that the auto loan for Damon Allen, loan number 45892-CA, is 90 days past due. As the co-signer, you are legally responsible for this debt. Outstanding balance, $24,658. Please remit payment within 10 days or your credit score will be severely impacted. Current credit score, 720, dropped from 780 due to late payments. I remembered that day 4 years ago when my parents begged me to co-sign Damon's car loan. "Just this once," they'd said. "He'll make the payments himself. We just need your signature." Damon hadn't paid a single dollar. I'd already covered $15,000 over 4 years to keep my credit from being destroyed. Another email from the property tax office reminded me that $8,500 in property taxes were due for 24 Maple Street. This house. I'd been paying those taxes for 8 years because your parents are retired and on a fixed income. I did the math in my head. Emergency fund contributions, $120,000. Property taxes over 8 years, $68,000. Mortgage assistance, $45,000. Home repairs, $22,000. Cosigner debt already paid, $15,000. Utilities and groceries, approximately $30,000. Total, $300,000 over 10 years. I'd given this family $300,000, and what had I received in return? A 10-square-meter bedroom and the repeated reminder that I should be grateful to live here. At 11:45 p.m., someone knocked on my door. "Tessa, come downstairs. We need to talk." My father's voice was cold. I threw on a sweatshirt and walked down to find the entire family assembled in the living room. The overhead lights were harsh. Everyone sat in a semicircle facing the center, like a tribunal. My father sat in his armchair looking stern. "Tessa, we need to discuss your future." "My future?" My mother leaned forward. "You know Ria's about to have her fourth child. This house only has 4 bedrooms. The 3 kids are cramped in 2 rooms. They need more space." My stomach dropped. "What are you saying?" "We think you should move out." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. "Move out?" My father nodded. "You're 32 years old. You make $95,000 a year. You can afford your own apartment. Damon has a family and 4 children. He needs this space more than you do." "But this is my home, too. I've lived here my entire life." "This house belongs to your mother and me," Lucetta said coldly. "You're just living here. You don't pay rent." Something inside me snapped. "I don't pay rent?" For the first time in my life, I raised my voice. "I've paid $300,000 toward this house. Taxes, repairs, mortgage payments, everything." "That was your voluntary contribution to the family," my father said. "Nobody forced you." Damon spoke up, his voice dripping with false sympathy. "Tessa, I know you're upset, but honestly, you being here creates tension for all of us. We need privacy as a family. The kids need space to study. You understand, right?" Ria rubbed her pregnant belly, her voice weak and trembling. "Tessa, I'm carrying a baby. My doctor says I need a calm environment, but you work so late, and the keyboard noise keeps me awake." I'd been working until 2 or 3 in the morning to earn money for this family, and they were complaining about the noise. "When do you want me to leave?" My father pulled out a paper. "Notice to vacate. 30 days. 1 month. You have 30 days to find a place." I took the paper with trembling hands. "I'm not leaving. This is my home too. I have rights." My father smiled. Not a warm smile, but something cold and calculated. He opened a leather folder and pulled out a stack of documents. "You think you have rights? Let me show you something." He laid out the papers one by one. 1. House deed. Owners Vernon Allen and Lucetta Allen. My name wasn't on it. 2. Property tax records. Official taxpayer, Vernon Allen. I was just someone who transferred money to help, with no legal standing. 3. Cosigner agreement. I was legally responsible for Damon's $24,658 car debt. If he didn't pay, I had to. If I didn't pay, my credit would be destroyed for 7 years, making it impossible to buy my own home. 4. Family assistance agreement. A document I'd signed 5 years ago, agreeing to provide financial support to the family. Buried in the fine print was a clause stating, all funds transferred to family accounts are considered gifts and are non-refundable. My father's voice was ice. You see, Tessa, legally you own nothing. Everything you gave was a gift. You can't get it back. And if you don't leave in 30 days, I'll sue you for trespassing. I felt dizzy. You've been planning this for a long time, haven't you? He didn't answer. He just smiled. Then Damon delivered the final blow. And Tessa, If you try to cause trouble, I'll call the police and report that you assaulted Rhea. Rhea stood up and rolled up her sleeve. Purple bruises marked her forearm. Last night you grabbed my arm when I took your birthday cake. You hurt me. I've already photographed it and sent the pictures to my doctor. I felt the ground disappear beneath me. I had never touched Rhea. She'd done that to herself. But who would believe me? A single 32-year-old woman against a 7 months pregnant victim? My father's voice was calm. I don't want this to escalate. But if you don't cooperate, I'll have to protect my daughter-in-law and my grandchild. My mother added the final nail. And Tessa, if you get arrested for assault, your company will fire you immediately. You can't work in cybersecurity with a criminal record. You'll lose everything. It was 1:30 in the morning when I sat on my bed, shaking. I had 3 options. Option 1, stay and fight risk. Lawsuit for trespassing. Rhea calls police about assault. I get arrested. Criminal record. Lose my job. Cosigner debt destroys my credit. Result? I lose everything. Option 2, hire a lawyer and sue them. Cost, $15,000 to $30,000. Duration, 1 to 2 years. Chance of winning, low, since everything was signed as gifts. And I'd still have to live somewhere else during the lawsuit. Result, expensive, time-consuming, probably futile. Option 3, leave now. Preserve what I have left. Keep my job, keep my credit score, by paying the cosigner debt. Avoid a criminal record, but lose $300,000 and live in my car, and plan my revenge in silence. I chose option 3, not because I was weak, but because I'd learned something from my years in cybersecurity. Never counterattack when the enemy is strong. Retreat, gather intelligence, and strike when they're most vulnerable. At 3 a.m., I packed my suitcase, grabbed my laptop and a box of important documents, and walked downstairs. The house was quiet. Everyone was asleep. I looked around the living room one last time. 20 family photos hung on the walls. In those 20 photos, I appeared in exactly 2. The rest were all Damon, Rhea, and their kids. I didn't cry. I walked out to my old Toyota Camry, the one I'd bought 8 years ago that now had 150,000 miles on it, and loaded my belongings. As I opened the car door, a light turned on in the second-floor window. Damon stood there, looking down at me. He smiled, a victor's smile, and waved. "Bye-bye, sis." I looked up at him, my face expressionless. Then I started the engine and drove away from 24 Maple Street for the last time. But as I reached the end of the driveway, I didn't head toward a hotel or a friend's house. I drove to the parking lot of a truck stop 15 miles away, where I would live for the next several months in that 14-year-old Camry. My family thought they'd won. They thought I was broken. They had no idea what was coming. The Pilot Travel Center on I-90 became my home. It wasn't much, just a massive truck stop with flickering fluorescent lights, diesel fumes, and the constant rumble of 18-wheelers pulling in and out at all hours. But it had restrooms, vending machines, and most importantly, nobody asked questions. I parked in the back corner of the lot where the lighting was dimmest. That first night, I reclined the driver's seat as far as it would go, wrapped myself in the emergency blanket from my trunk, and tried to sleep while semis idled 30 feet away. The cold was the worst part. Even though it was mid-March, Massachusetts nights still dropped to the mid-30s. My breath fogged the windows. I'd wake up every hour, shivering, and run the engine for 10 minutes to warm up before the guilt about wasting gas made me turn it off again. I set my phone alarm for 5:30 a.m. That first morning, I walked into the truck stop bathroom with my toiletry bag, paid $2 for a shower token, and stood under lukewarm water that smelled faintly of chlorine. The shower stall was cramped and the floor was perpetually wet, but it was warm. I put on my work clothes, a professional blazer and slacks I'd ironed the night before my exile, and did my makeup in the spotted mirror while truck drivers came and gone, barely glancing at me. By 7 a.m., I was sitting in my car with my laptop balanced on my steering wheel, connected to my phone's hotspot. I opened Zoom and logged into the morning stand-up meeting with CyberShield Solutions. "Morning, Tessa!" My manager, Derek, appeared on screen. "How's everything going?" Behind me on the video was a carefully selected virtual background. A clean, modern office with bookshelves. My noise-canceling headphones blocked out the sound of air brakes and diesel engines. "Everything's great," I said, smiling. "Just finished my coffee." Nobody knew I'd bought that coffee from a vending machine for $1.50. Nobody knew I was sitting in a 14-year-old car in a truck stop parking lot. Nobody knew I was homeless. And I intended to keep it that way. The routine became mechanical. Morning, wake at 5:30. Shower at the truck stop. Breakfast from McDonald's. A sausage biscuit and coffee for $3.50. Work. Find a quiet corner of the parking lot. Connect to hotspot. Work from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., pretending everything was normal. Lunch, McDonald's again. Or sometimes just crackers and peanut butter from the convenience store. $7 maximum. Evening. Planet Fitness for a real shower. I'd bought a $10 per month membership specifically for this. Then dinner. Canned soup heated in the microwave at 7-Eleven. Crackers. Maybe an apple. $4. Night. Park in my corner spot. Lock all doors. Keep a small knife under my seat. Try to sleep while semis rumbled and occasional voices passed by outside. Total daily spending. About $20. My salary was $7,900 per month after taxes. But I still had obligations. The co-signer debt for Damon's car loan. $500 monthly to prevent my credit score from collapsing completely. Student loans. $320. Phone and internet. $150. My lifeline to work. Car insurance. $180. Gas. $200. After all that, I could save roughly $6,000 per month. It wasn't much considering what I'd lost, but it was a start. 2 weeks into this new life, Natalie called. Natalie Pierce was my closest colleague at CyberShield, the only person at work I'd ever called a friend. Her face appeared on my phone screen one evening as I sat in my car eating soup from a can. "Tessa, I haven't seen you in forever. Want to grab dinner this weekend?" I angled my phone carefully so she couldn't see the car interior. "Oh, I'm swamped with this new project. Maybe in a few weeks?" She frowned. "You look tired. Are you okay?" "Just working a lot. You know how it is. Is everything all right at home?" My throat tightened. "Everything's fine. I actually moved recently. New place. Still getting settled." "Oh? Where'd you move to?" "Just a temporary rental. I'll send you the address once I'm more established." She didn't look convinced, but she didn't push. "Okay, but seriously, if you need anything..." "I know, thanks, Nat." After I hung up, I sat in the dark car and stared at the phone in my hands. I could have told her the truth. I could have asked for help. But pride is a strange thing. And more than that, I had a plan forming. One that required me to stay invisible, stay patient, and stay focused. Late March brought warmer weather, but no comfort. I was working on a security incident for one of CyberShield's clients when my laptop pinged with an unusual alert. Unauthorized login attempt from known device. I pulled up the log file. The IP address traced back to 24 Maple Street. Someone was using my old computer, the one I'd left behind because I had no room for it, to access something they shouldn't be accessing. Curiosity mixed with suspicion. I'd installed a backdoor on that machine years ago, a habit from my security work. It took me 30 seconds to remote into it. What I found made my blood run cold. Damon had logged into my old computer and was actively using it. Browser history showed multiple visits to 1. A Telegram group called Crypto Moonshots. 2. A website, Alpha Gains Investment Platform. 3. Several Excel spreadsheets tracking investments and commissions. I opened the Telegram chat log. D. Allen_investor. Just brought in 5 more investors. $80,000 total this month. CryptoKing_Mike. Excellent work. Remember, you get 15% commission on every dollar we pull in. D. Allen_investor. When do we cash out? CryptoKing_Mike. When we hit $2 million. Probably late November. Then we disappear. D. Allen_investor. And all these people lose everything. CryptoKing_Mike. That's how Ponzi schemes work, genius. Don't get attached to the sheep. My hands shook as I took screenshots of everything. This wasn't just my brother being lazy or irresponsible. Damon was actively running a cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. He was convincing people to invest in a fake platform, knowing they'd lose everything when the scheme collapsed. I pulled up the Alpha Gains website. It looked professional. Slick graphics, testimonials, charts showing guaranteed returns of 20 to 30% annually. To a cybersecurity professional, the red flags were everywhere. Recently registered domain, no physical address, anonymous ownership through proxy services. Using my penetration testing skills, I probed the site's security. It was laughably weak. Within an hour, I'd gained access to their back-end database. What I found was damning. Total invested, $847,000. Number of victims, 34 people. Victim list included James Sullivan, 67, Army veteran, $95,000, his entire retirement savings. Patricia Walsh, 52, school teacher, $43,000. Robert and Helen Martinez, both 71, $67,000, their life savings. 11 others from Massachusetts, 7 from Ohio, 6 from Pennsylvania, 5 from New York, 3 from Connecticut, 2 from Rhode Island. Damon's commission earned $127,050. So that's how he'd afforded the BMW. That's how he'd
And
been
this is
buying
stories of how I
expensive gifts for Rhea.
sometimes the people who
That's
gave you
how he'd
life
been
are the
living
six who
in
train you to erase it in
unemployment while
private.
actually making 6 figures scamming desperate people trying to secure their futures. I sat in my car in that truck stop parking lot, and for the first time since leaving home, I felt something other than grief. I felt rage, but I also felt calculation. If I reported this to the FBI immediately, they'd investigate. They'd probably shut it down. Damon might face charges, but with only $847,000, the penalties would be lighter. And there was a chance some victims wouldn't recover their money if the investigation wasn't thorough enough. Number 1. I needed this to be bigger. Bigger meant federal attention. Bigger meant serious prison time. Bigger meant the kind of justice that would destroy Damon completely. I would let the scheme continue, but I'd document everything. Every transaction. Every victim. Every message. And when it reached the right size, when it was too big to ignore, too criminal to forgive, I'd hand it all to the FBI gift-wrapped. I created an encrypted folder on a USB drive and began copying every piece of evidence. The 1st of April brought an email that would have been funny if it wasn't so insulting. From Rhea Allen. Subject, invoice for room restoration. Hi Tessa, hope you're doing well. We've finished converting your old room into the nursery for baby number 4. However, after inspection, we discovered significant wear and tear from your 32 years of use. Hardwood floor scratches. $1,200 repair. wall damage, nail holes, scuffs, $400 for patching and repainting, closet door hinge replacement, $150, deep cleaning and sanitization, $300, total due, $2,050. Since you lived in that room for over 3 decades, it's only fair you contribute to restoration costs. Please Venmo me by April 15th. Thanks so much, Ria. I read it 3 times, sitting in my car at Planet Fitness after my evening shower. They'd thrown me out of my home. They'd stolen $300,000 from me. And now they wanted me to pay for wear and tear on a bedroom I'd been forced to abandon. My first instinct was to laugh, a bitter, angry laugh that echoed in my empty car. My second instinct was to delete the email and block her. But my third instinct, the one I listened to, was to reply with exactly 4 words. I'll think about it. Then I opened a new document on my laptop and titled it, Evidence Compilation, Allen Family Fraud. If Ria wanted to play games about invoices, I'd show her what real accounting looked like. Mid-April brought an unexpected turning point. I'd been living in my car for 5 weeks. The novelty, if you could call it that, had worn off completely. My back ached constantly from sleeping in a reclined seat. I'd lost 8 pounds because I was skipping meals to save money. My skin looked gray. Dark circles shadowed my eyes. One evening around 10 p.m., as I was settling in for another uncomfortable night, someone knocked on my car window. I jerked awake. I hadn't realized I'd dozed off, my hand instinctively reaching for the knife under my seat. Outside stood an elderly woman, maybe 70 years old, wearing a thick cardigan despite the warming weather. Her face was kind but concerned. I lowered the window an inch. "Can I help you?" "Honey, I've been watching you park here for weeks now." Her voice was gentle, without judgment. "Are you living in your car?" I considered lying, but something about her eyes, they reminded me of my grandmother who'd passed away when I was 12, the only family member who'd ever truly loved me, made me tell the truth. "Yes." She nodded slowly. "I thought so. I'm Dorothy Whitaker. I live in that little house just down the road." She pointed toward a modest home barely visible through the trees. "I have a spare room. My son used to live there before he passed away about 10 years back. It's been empty ever since." I can't afford much. $200 a month. The room has a bed, a desk, Wi-Fi, and a private bathroom. It's warm and it's safe and it's a hell of a lot better than sleeping in a car. Tears stung my eyes. "Why would you do this for a stranger?" Dorothy smiled. "Because 30 years ago, I was sleeping in my car too. After my husband left me with nothing and my family turned their backs on me, a woman named Grace gave me a chance. I swore that if I ever got back on my feet, I'd pay it forward." She paused. "You have an honest face. You work hard. I can tell by the laptop and the business clothes. You're not on drugs. You're not running from the law. You're just in a tough spot. So, what do you say?" I couldn't speak. I just nodded. Dorothy's house was small but immaculate. The room she offered me was about 12 square meters, painted soft blue, with a single bed covered in a handmade quilt, a sturdy desk, and a window overlooking a small garden. "I don't have many rules," Dorothy said as she showed me around. "Just be respectful, clean up after yourself, and if you're going to be late, send me a text so I don't worry." I don't know how to thank you. Thank me by getting back on your feet, and by helping someone else when your time comes. That night, I slept in an actual bed for the first time in over a month. The sheets smelled like lavender. The room was warm, and for the first time since leaving 24 Maple Street, I felt like maybe, just maybe, things would be okay. Over the following weeks, Dorothy and I fell into an easy routine. She'd make dinner most nights and always made extra for me. We'd eat together, talking about small things, her garden, my work. I didn't mention the homelessness or my family, the news. One evening in early May, Dorothy told me her story. My son, Christopher, had problems with his family too. His siblings took advantage of him constantly. He'd give them money, help them out, cover their mistakes. They loved what he could do for them, but they didn't love him. When Christopher's business failed and he had nothing left to give, they vanished. Didn't even come to his funeral when he died of a heart attack at 49. She looked at me with knowing eyes. I can see it in you, Tessa. That same hurt. Someone took advantage of your good heart, didn't they? I couldn't lie to her. My family. I gave them everything and they threw me out. Dorothy reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Then you listen to me, honey. Don't let them destroy you. You're stronger than you know. And someday you're going to rise so far above them, they'll break their necks looking up at you. Those words became my mantra. By late May, I'd saved enough money to hire professional help. Rebecca Torres ran a small private investigation firm out of Springfield. Her rates were $3,000 per month, which was steep. But I needed eyes on my family that weren't my own. I want you to follow Damon Allen, I told her during our first phone call. Document everything. Where he goes, who he meets, what he's doing. I need evidence that will hold up in court. What kind of case are we building? Fraud. Possibly more. I'll need a retainer. I paid her $6,000 up front, 2 months of work. Throughout the summer, Rebecca sent me regular reports, and each one added another piece to the puzzle. Subject has been meeting repeatedly with a young woman, Ashley Brooks, age 23, at the Riverside Motel. They check in for 2 to 3 hours, always during daytime when his wife is home. Brooks is listed as an investor in Subject's cryptocurrency platform. Photos attached. The photos showed Damon and Ashley entering the motel room, laughing. Leaving later, Damon's arm around her waist. Subject's wife, Rhea Allen, has been meeting with Kyle Martinez, personal trainer at Peak Fitness Gym. Multiple visits to his apartment. Duration? 1 to 3 hours. Appears to be an affair. Photos attached. So Rhea was cheating too. Interesting. Vernon and Lucetta Allen receiving monthly cash payments of $2,000 from Damon Allen. Source appears to be cryptocurrency scheme proceeds. They're aware of the scheme's nature based on overheard conversations. Audio attached. The audio was damning. My father's voice. How much longer until you cash out, son? Damon's response? Few more months. We're almost at 2 million. My mother. Just be careful. We don't want any trouble. So they knew. They were complicit. They were profiting from his fraud while I'd been living in my car. Rhea Allen has been in contact with her estranged family, the Blackwoods. Multiple phone calls with her mother, Cynthia Blackwood. Content suggests Rhea is attempting reconciliation. She's mentioned divorce from Damon once he has enough assets to take in the settlement, planning to use his criminal activity as leverage for full custody and maximum child support. This was the third twist I hadn't seen coming. Rhea wasn't just a passive victim in Damon's schemes. She was playing her own long game. Stay married while Damon made money, legally or illegally, have enough children to guarantee substantial child support, then divorce him and take everything while reconciling with her wealthy family. She'd come out looking like a brave single mother escaping a criminal husband. It was actually brilliant, in a sociopathic kind of way. But she hadn't counted on me. By mid-September, the Alpha Gains scheme had grown to exactly what I'd been waiting for. $1.87 million spread across 67 victims. Damon and his partners were planning their exit scam for the end of the month. They'd withdraw all the funds, shut down the platform, and disappear, leaving dozens of families financially ruined. On September 10th, I compiled every piece of evidence I'd gathered over 6 months. Complete transaction logs showing every deposit and withdrawal. Screenshots of all Telegram conversations. Database backups proving the Ponzi structure. List of all 67 victims with amounts invested. Audio recordings of Vernon and Lucetta discussing the scheme. Photos of Damon meeting with co-conspirators. Banking records showing Damon's commission payments. I put it all in a secure digital folder, encrypted it, and sent it to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center with a detailed cover letter. Then I waited. The morning of September 15th started like any other at 24 Maple Street. Vernon was drinking his coffee at the kitchen table. Lucetta was making breakfast, bacon and eggs for Damon, who was still asleep upstairs in the master bedroom. Ria was feeding the 3 older children. The house smelled like a normal Wednesday morning. At 7:03 a.m., everything changed. Bang, bang, bang. FBI! Open the door! We have a warrant! 6 federal agents in tactical gear stormed through the front door. They'd brought a battering ram, though Vernon opened it just as they were swinging. Damon Allen! An agent's voice boomed through the house. FBI! Get down here now! Damon appeared at the top of the stairs in his boxer shorts, face pale with terror. What the? Damon Allen, you are under arrest for wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, money laundering, and interstate fraud. 2 agents grabbed him, forcing him face down on the stairs, zip-tying his wrists behind his back. Ria started screaming. The children started crying. Vernon tried to intervene. This is a mistake. My son hasn't done anything wrong. The lead agent turned to Vernon. Sir, we have evidence that you and your wife, Lucetta Allen, knowingly received proceeds from this fraud scheme. You're also under arrest for conspiracy and money laundering. My mother's face went white. We didn't do anything! We didn't know! The agent pulled out a phone and played an audio recording. Vernon's voice saying, How much longer until you cash out, son? That's you, isn't it, Mr. Allen? Vernon said nothing. Within 30 minutes, all 3 of them were in handcuffs. Damon, Vernon, and Lucetta. They were read their Miranda rights, loaded into separate FBI vehicles, and driven away while neighbors gathered on their lawns, phones out, recording everything. Ria stood in the doorway with her 4 children, sobbing, though I suspected at least half of those tears were performative. By noon, the story had hit the news. Boston Globe. Worcester man arrested in $1. 87M cryptocurrency Ponzi scheme. Local NBC. Affiliate. Local Golden Boy. Accused of defrauding dozens of families. Worcester Telegram. 3 family members arrested in massive fraud case. The articles included photos of Damon being led away in handcuffs, his face shocked and terrified. Comments flooded in online. I invested $50,000 with this scumbag. He stole my daughter's college fund. My elderly parents lost everything to this fraud. I hope he rots in prison. The whole family was in on it? Disgusting. That evening, sitting in Dorothy's comfortable living room, I watched the news coverage on her TV. Dorothy glanced at me. That's your brother, isn't it? I didn't ask how she knew. Dorothy had a way of seeing things. Yes. Did you report him? Yes. She nodded slowly. Good. He deserved it. On the TV, a reporter interviewed James Sullivan, the 67-year-old veteran who'd lost his entire retirement. I trusted Damon, James said, his voice breaking. He seemed like such a nice young man. He told me this investment was safe, that I'd be able to retire comfortably. Now I have nothing. I'll have to work until I die. I felt no guilt, only cold satisfaction. Damon had chosen to prey on vulnerable people. He'd chosen to steal from veterans and teachers and retirees. He'd chosen to build his comfortable life on the suffering of others. Now he'd face the consequences. 3 days later, Damon, Vernon, and Lucetta were arraigned. Bail was set at $500,000 for Damon, $100,000 each for Vernon and Lucetta. Rhea mortgaged the house to make Damon's bail. Vernon and Lucetta had to borrow from distant relatives. All three were released pending trial, but the damage was done. Their reputations were destroyed. The house was now in foreclosure. Rhea couldn't keep up with the mortgage payments after paying Damon's bail, and I was just getting started. October descended on Worcester with cold rain that turned everything gray and miserable. The house at 24 Maple Street was dying. Electricity flickered because utilities were 60 days overdue. Heat barely worked. The lawn grew wild. Neighbors crossed the street to avoid the criminal house. Rebecca's reports documented the collapse. Family dynamics fractured. Vernon and Lucetta in separate rooms. Damon rarely leaves bedroom. Rhea packing boxes. Children appear neglected. CPS called. Investigation closed after visit. The mortgage was 3 months delinquent. The property tax bill, $8,500, sat unopened on the kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. On October 8th, Rhea filed for divorce. Her petition was a masterpiece of manipulation. Full custody of all 4 children. $3,500 monthly child support. 50% of marital assets. She painted herself as a devoted mother trapped with a criminal, claiming she'd only recently discovered his fraud. Every word was a lie. I had proof. Rhea contacted Mother Cynthia Blackwood. Call lasted 47 minutes. Quote, "I was young and stupid marrying him. I'm a good mother. Your grandchildren deserve to know their family." Cynthia cautiously positive, but requires complete separation from Damon. The wealthy Blackwoods were considering taking her back. 4 grandchildren were powerful leverage. If Rhea could play the reformed prodigal daughter, she'd regain everything. Money, status, comfort. I was going to obliterate that plan. Damon was drowning. His public defender had been brutally honest. 10 to 15 years minimum with this evidence. Your only shot is cooperation. But your partners vanished. It took Damon 2 weeks to figure out who'd reported him. "It was Tessa," he told Rhea one night. "She must have had access to that computer somehow." He was right, but it was far too late. And night ain't. Vernon and Lucetta faced their own reckoning. Their lawyer offered a plea deal. Testify against Damon. Receive probation instead of prison. "He's our son," Vernon said, voice breaking. "How can we testify against our own son?" "How can we survive prison at our age?" Lucetta countered. "We'd die there." Survival instinct won. They signed the plea agreement on October 20th. Damon didn't speak to them for a week after finding out. Everyone was trying to save themselves. Everyone was abandoning ship. And I was about to buy the ship. By early November, I'd saved $68,000 through relentless discipline. My credit score had climbed to 740 from consistently paying down Damon's co-signer debt. I was ready. On November 2nd, I met with Wells Fargo's mortgage specialist, Sandra Rodriguez. "I'm interested in purchasing 24 Maple Street. I believe your bank is foreclosing." Sandra pulled up the file. "Yes, 3 months delinquent. Outstanding balance is $145,000. What's your asking price?" $155 for quick sale. Market value is $220, but we need to move it fast." "I can do it. $90,000 mortgage, $65,000 down payment." The process moved with surprising speed. Banks love cash buyers with good credit. I was short by $7,000 after closing costs. I called Dorothy. "I need to borrow $10,000, I said. I'll pay you back with interest within 6 months. What's it for? I'm buying my family's house out from under them. Dorothy laughed, a sharp, approving sound. Come by tonight. I'll write you a check. That evening, she handed me $10,000. You don't have to do this, I said. Honey, I'm 72 with no children and more money than I need. That 10,000 won't change my life, but it might change yours. By November 10th, I'd signed all closing documents. The house at 24 Maple Street officially belonged to Tessa Marie Allen. I sat in my car outside the registry office, holding the deed in my hands, and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Power. They had no idea what was coming. I chose November 15th deliberately. A Monday. Damon had a hearing that afternoon. Everyone would be home, stressed, vulnerable. I dressed carefully that morning. Black pantsuit, white silk blouse, heels, professional, powerful, untouchable. I looked at myself in Dorothy's mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. 8 months ago, I'd been broken, sleeping in my car. Now I looked like someone who owned things, someone who made decisions, someone who won. You look ready, Dorothy said. I am. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. The drive to Worcester took 45 minutes. When I pulled into the driveway of 24 Maple Street, the house looked shabby. Peeling paint, overgrown lawn, neglected. I grabbed my leather folder and walked to the front door, rang the doorbell. Rhea answered, 8 months pregnant. Her face registered confusion, then shock. Tessa, what are you doing here? Hello, Rhea. I'm here to inspect my property. May I come in? Your property? Her voice went shrill. What are you talking about? I pulled out the deed. As of November 10th, I am the sole legal owner of this house. The bank foreclosed. I purchased it. You're currently trespassing on my property. Her hands trembled as she read. Property. Deed address, 24 Maple Street, Worcester, Massachusetts. Owner, Tessa Marie Allen. Date, November 10th, 2025. Number, this can't be real. It's completely real. Recorded with the county, legal and binding. Vernon's voice came from inside. Rhea, who's at the door? It's your daughter, I called out. The one you threw out. We need to talk. Within minutes, they'd assembled in the living room. The same room where they'd evicted me that terrible March night. Vernon was unshaven, in sweatpants, looking 10 years older. Lucetta wore a bathrobe at midday, hair greasy. Damon sat on the couch, gaunt and pale. The house smelled stale, like people who'd stopped caring. I handed Vernon the notice to vacate. You have 48 hours to remove yourselves from this property. That's more notice than you gave me. Lucetta's hands flew to her mouth. Tessa, no. You can't do this. I absolutely can. I own this house. You stopped paying the mortgage. The bank foreclosed. I bought it. That's how property law works. But this is our home, Lucetta wailed. We've lived here 35 years. Then you should have paid the mortgage. Vernon stepped toward me, face reddening. You vindictive little... Careful, I said coldly. You're facing federal charges. Want to add threatening a property owner? I'm sure your lawyer would love that. He stopped, fists clenching. Lucetta sank onto the stairs, crying real tears, not the manipulative kind she usually deployed, but genuine despair. We're your parents. You can't throw us into the street. We have nowhere to go. You're 62 and 60. That's not that old. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Like I had to when you threw me out. We'll die out there, Vernon said. Is that what you want? You didn't care if I died when you threw me out with 48 hours notice. I lived in my car for over a month. Did you check on me? Silence. Damon finally spoke, voice hoarse. Why are you doing this? Because you framed me for assault. Because you laughed when I drove away. Because you're a criminal who destroyed dozens of lives for profit. Should I go on? I'm your brother. You stopped being my brother the night you let them throw me out and did nothing. Rhea spoke up, voice shaking. Tessa, I'm 8 months pregnant. You can't throw a pregnant woman and 4 children onto the street. You were fine with throwing me out. You even invoiced me for room repairs. $2,050, remember? Her face paled. The room fell silent except for Lucetta's sobbing. I let the silence stretch. I'd waited 8 months for this moment. Finally, Vernon spoke, his voice broken. What do you want? I want what you took. My dignity. My 10 years. My $300,000. Since I can't have those back, I'll settle for justice. We'll do anything, Lucetta begged. Anything. Just don't do this. Anything? They both nodded desperately. Fine. 2 options. Option 1, leave in 48 hours. Never contact me again. Figure out your own futures. And option 2, Vernon asked warily. You stay. Under my conditions. I laid out documents. First condition, Vernon and Lucetta sign affidavits admitting you knowingly received money from Damon's fraud. These go to the FBI and prosecution. Vernon went white. That's confessing to a crime. You committed a crime. This shows cooperation. Judges like that. Your lawyer will tell you the same thing. What else? Second, Damon signs a statement admitting he fabricated the assault allegation. That Rhea deliberately bruised herself for false evidence. Rhea's head snapped up. That's a lie! Is it? I pulled out my phone. Let me show you something. I played the video. May 20th footage, Rhea in the backyard on her phone. Yeah, Kyle, I'm just waiting for the right moment. Once Damon's arrested, I'll divorce him and take everything. 4 kids means massive child support. My family will take me back once I leave him. The video switched to July 30th. Rhea and Kyle in a motel bed. God, I can't wait until this is over. Once Damon's in prison, I'll have the kids, the child support, and my family's money. Best of both worlds. Kyle laughed. You're cold, baby. I learned from the best. My mother always said marry for money, divorce for freedom. Present-day silence was absolute. Vernon stared at Rhea with disgust. You planned this the entire time? Damon's voice was hollow. You were cheating? Using our children as leverage? I can explain, Rhea started. Don't, Damon said. Don't say my name. Don't talk to me. Rhea's phone rang. Mother, on the screen. She declined the call. I smiled. That's probably the 10th call today. I sent your mother this video this morning, along with several others. The Blackwoods don't forgive betrayal. Rhea looked like she might vomit. Her phone rang again. Same caller. She didn't answer. Option 2 is available only for Vernon and Lucetta, I said. Not for Rhea or Damon. What are the terms? Lucetta whispered. Sign the affidavits. You can live in the basement. Rent is $800 monthly. You'll have a roof while dealing with your legal situation. And Damon? Damon's going to prison. Nothing changes that. But if he signs the affidavit about the assault lie, it helps his sentencing. Cooperation reduces sentences. And Rhea? Rhea has 48 hours to vacate. After that video reaches divorce court, she won't get the custody or child support she was counting on. Rhea answered her phone. Mother. The call lasted 30 seconds. Rhea lowered it, tears streaming. She disowned me. Nobody comforted her. Comforted. Vernon and Lucetta exchanged a long look. Finally, Vernon spoke. We'll sign. I'd prepared the affidavits in advance. They read them with shaking hands, then signed. I collected the documents. One more thing. That Hermes bag bought with my emergency fund money. I want it back. Lucetta nodded numbly. Damon spoke up. You reported me to the FBI. Yes. How? You used my old computer. Did you really think a cybersecurity engineer wouldn't have backdoor access? I saw everything. Every message. Every transaction. Every victim. You could have warned me. I laughed, sharp and bitter. So you could keep destroying lives? Why would I do that? Because I'm family. You were family. Past tense. You stopped being my brother when you hurt me and felt no remorse. He had no response. The trial began December 3rd in Boston's federal courthouse. I attended with Dorothy. The trial lasted 8 days. Day 1. The prosecution laid out the scheme. Charts showed $1, 87 million flowing from 67 victims into the fake cryptocurrency platform, then into Damon's accounts. The evidence will show, the prosecutor said, that Damon Allen deliberately and systematically defrauded 67 people. He knew the platform was fake. He knew every dollar he earned meant someone else would lose their savings. And he did it anyway. Days 2 through 5. Victim testimony. James Sullivan, the 67-year-old veteran, testified first. I met Damon at a veterans support group. He seemed respectful. He told me about this investment opportunity, said it was a sure thing. James's voice cracked. I invested $95,000, my entire retirement from 40 years of work. Now I have to work until I die because I trusted him. Patricia Walsh, the teacher. I invested $43,000 saved for my daughter's medical school. She had to withdraw. This man stole my daughter's future. Robert and Helen Martinez, both in their 70s, lost $67,000, their entire life savings. Story after story. Dream after dream destroyed. By day 5, half the jury was crying. Day 6. Vernon and Lucetta testified for the prosecution as part of their plea deal. Did you know the money was from fraud? The prosecutor asked Vernon. Vernon hesitated. I suspected, but I didn't want to know for sure. So you took it anyway? Yes. The jury looked disgusted. Day 7. The defense argued Damon had been manipulated by the true architects who'd vanished. The prosecution's rebuttal was devastating. The defendant earned $127,000 in commissions. He personally recruited 42 victims. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's not being a victim, that's being a criminal. Day 8. The jury deliberated 3 hours. The forewoman stood. On all counts, guilty. Damon's head dropped to the table, shoulders shaking. Sentencing came December 17th. Judge Morrison was stern. Mr. Allen, you deliberately targeted vulnerable populations, veterans, retirees, families. You showed no remorse. 67 families destroyed because of your greed. She paused. The sentencing guidelines suggest 8 to 12 years. Given the number of victims, the amount stolen, and your complete lack of remorse, I sentence you to 12 years in federal prison, followed by 5 years supervised release. You are also ordered to pay full restitution of $1,870,000. 12 years. Damon's knees buckled. His lawyer had to hold him up. He'd be 41 when released. His children would be grown. His life was over. Vernon and Lucetta were sentenced the following week. 2 years probation, 500 hours community service each, permanent felony records. They'd avoid prison but be convicted felons forever. No voting rights. Garnished Social Security. Their golden years would be poverty and shame. I let Vernon and Lucetta live in the basement for 3 months, charging $800 monthly rent. The basement wasn't much. One large room with a bathroom and kitchenette. They slept on a futon on the floor. They heard every footstep from above. Constant reminders this was my house now. Rhea had moved out within 48 hours, finding a 2-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood. The divorce went through quickly after the videos surfaced. The court awarded joint custody with primary residence to Vernon and Lucetta. Rhea got every other weekend and paid $600 monthly child support. My parents, at 62 and 60, were raising 4 children while living in a basement and working community service hours. It was a disaster. I felt no pity. On March 1st, 2026, exactly 1 year after they'd evicted me, I listed the house. It sold in 2 weeks for $235,000. After paying off the mortgage and closing costs, I made $80,000 profit. March 20th, I returned to 24 Maple Street one last time. Vernon answered. He'd aged terribly. Deep lines, gray skin, defeated eyes. Tessa, what are you doing here? The house sold. New owners take possession March 30th. You have 10 days to vacate. His face went white. You sold it? Where are we supposed to go? We have 4 kids here. Not my problem. Lucetta appeared with the 4 children clustered around her. The baby was crying. 10-year-old Mason looked exhausted. The others were pale and frightened. Tessa, please, Lucetta begged. These children need stability. They need a home. So did I. You threw me out anyway. What are we supposed to do? I pulled out a brochure. Green Meadows Senior Living has a room, $2,500 monthly. Your Social Security and Medicaid should cover it. A nursing home? Vernon looked horrified. We're only 62 and 60. Should have made better life choices. And the children? That's for Rhea and social services to figure out. Maybe foster care. Maybe Rhea finds help. I don't care. Lucetta collapsed to the floor, sobbing. Dammit. Vernon looked at me with hatred and despair. You're heartless. I crouched to eye level. I'm exactly what you taught me to be, Dad. You taught me family only matters when they're useful. You taught me love is conditional on what you provide. You taught me that when someone becomes inconvenient, you discard them. I stood. I just learned the lessons better than you did. I set the brochure on the table. You have 10 days. As I reached my Honda CR-V, Vernon called out, I hope you're happy. I turned back. I'm not happy, but I'm free, and that's infinitely better. I drove away from 24 Maple Street for the last time, watching Vernon's small, defeated figure disappear in my rearview mirror. I felt nothing. 1 year later, I'm sitting on the balcony of my condo in Portland, Maine, watching the winter sun set over Casco Bay. The sky is streaked with orange and purple and gold. The condo is mine, 1,500 square feet, 2 bedrooms. I paid $180,000 using the house profit plus my savings. My mortgage is $700 monthly. I was promoted to senior cybersecurity consultant in June. Salary, $120,000 yearly. Credit score, 785. Savings, $60,000. Nobody can take this from me. Dorothy lives in the 2nd bedroom. She gardens on the balcony and makes dinner most nights. She's become the mother I never had, the family I chose. I'm dating Ethan Brooks, a software engineer I met through work. 8 months together. He's kind, funny, pays his own way. On our third date, I told him everything. "Do you think I'm a bad person?" I asked. He thought carefully. "I think you're someone who survived people trying to destroy you. You held them accountable. That doesn't make you bad. It makes you strong." He's talking about moving in. Dorothy approves. "That young man looks at you like you hung the moon." As for my biological family, Damon is at FCI Danbury serving his 12 years. He'll be eligible for parole in 7 more years. He sent me a letter 6 months ago, 5 pages apologizing, claiming he'd found God and changed. I read it once, then threw it away. Maybe he's changed, maybe not. Either way, it doesn't matter to me. He made his choices. I don't need to be part of his redemption arc. Vernon and Lucetta are at Green Meadows Nursing Home, sharing a small room. Vernon had a stroke last August. His face droops now, his speech slurred. He's only 63 but looks 80. Lucetta developed diabetes and high blood pressure. She's gained weight from stress and the nursing home's starchy diet. They rarely have visitors. Rhea brings the children every 2 months out of court-ordered obligation. The visits are short and uncomfortable. Mostly they just exist, watching TV, waiting for nothing in particular. I don't visit. I pay only what's legally required. I feel no guilt. Rhea waitresses at a chain restaurant and works retail at Target. She lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in a rough neighborhood, barely scraping by. The Blackwood family never forgave her. She's completely cut off. Last I heard, she's trying to start an Instagram life coaching business, posting inspirational quotes about overcoming adversity. She has 247 followers. The universe has a sense of irony. The fraud victims recovered about 30% of their money from seized assets. Not enough, but better than nothing. James Sullivan sends me a Christmas card every year. "Thank you for your courage in reporting the fraud. You saved others from falling for it. That matters." I keep his cards in a box in my closet. They remind me why I did what I did, not just for revenge, but for justice. Dorothy joins me on the balcony with 2 mugs of hot chocolate. Beautiful sunset. It is. Any regrets? I think honestly. I wish I'd been born into a different family, one that loved me. But wishing doesn't change reality. "You have a real family now," Dorothy says, squeezing my hand. "Me, Ethan, whoever you choose to let in. Family isn't blood, it's love, it's choice." She's right. My phone buzzes. Ethan. "Bringing home Thai food. Your usual pad Thai? Love you." I smile and text back, "Perfect. Love you too." The sun dips below the horizon. Stars begin appearing one by one over Casco Bay. I'm 33 years old. I have a home I own, a career I'm good at, people who love me, real love, not conditional manipulation. I have savings, security, stability, and I have freedom. Freedom from obligation. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from people who saw me as a resource to exploit. The scavenger daughter, the one who cleaned up everyone's messes, who sacrificed everything for family that never loved her, died in that truck stop parking lot 18 months ago. In her place is Tessa Allen, a woman who learned that sometimes saving yourself means walking away from people who treat you as disposable. Even when those people are family. Especially when those people are family. Dorothy raises her mug. To new beginnings. I clink mine against hers. To freedom. We drink our hot chocolate and watch the stars emerge over Casco Bay. This is peace. This is home. This is the life I built from nothing. On my own terms. And nobody can take it away. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. I know it wasn't always easy to hear. But this story needed to be told. For everyone who's ever been taken advantage of by people who were supposed to protect them. For everyone who's given everything and received nothing in return. If this resonated with you, if you've experienced something similar, or if you believe people should face consequences for their actions, please hit that subscribe button. Share this story. Let it reach people who need to hear it. And remember, you don't owe anyone your destruction. Not your family, not your friends, not anyone. You have the right, the responsibility, to save yourself. Take care of yourselves out there. Choose carefully who you let into your life. And never let anyone convince you that you're obligated to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. This is Tessa Allen signing off. Be free.